I am someone who has both done Pass Plus as a pupil, and here's my certificate, and I have delivered Pass Plus as a driving instructor. And as I've seen it from both sides, the pupil side and the driving instructor's side, what do I think of it? And do I think it's worth it? Firstly, I need to come clean, because although I did Pass Plus, I did it nearly a full year after passing my driving test. And I mean like 50 weeks, 2 weeks short of a full year. And the reason being is simply money. Back then I was 18 years old and I was earning £10,500 a year, and I was supporting myself. My after-tax income per month was something like £740 a month from memory. And the course was around about £130 from memory. So that was a significant chunk of my monthly earnings. The main reason why I think I did it was because I said to my instructor I was going to do it. And I like to do things I say I'm going to do. I don't like to say I'm going to do it and then not do it. But also, for nearly a full year after passing my driving test, I had implemented what my instructor had taught me to do. I had tried to develop it and get better at it and be a good driver. So really, I think I was going seeking for approval and compliments, which probably wasn't the best attitude. I think when you're going to do some kind of training, really what you should be seeking is, where are my weaknesses and how can I get better? So I did Pass Plus late, and I probably did it for the wrong reasons. But did it help me? No. But let's put this into perspective. I had been driving for nearly a year. In my first year, I did somewhere between 15 and 20,000 miles, and I had spent hundreds of hours behind the wheel driving on the roads, mostly on my own. So doing 6 hours with a driving instructor wasn't going to make that much difference to my experience, skill, knowledge, or confidence. So therefore, it didn't really help me much. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing my instructor again and driving his more powerful 115 brake horsepower Ford Focus diesel. Much more powerful than my Vauxhall Astra at the time. It was quite a torquey, nice car to drive. I think they got that Mark 1 Focus right. But I don't think it really helped me very much. However, if you have just passed your driving test, or you do your Pass Plus course very close to passing your driving test, I think it will help you significantly, because you're doing extra hours of practice, ideally on high-speed roads, a lot of that practice, directly after you've learnt to drive. So you haven't got that many hours behind your belt. Therefore, those extra hours are going to make a big difference. And as you're doing those hours with an instructor, that should also support you and give you more confidence. There is a problem with Pass Plus though. As a driving instructor, I find it quite restrictive. You see, when someone comes to me and wants to do a Pass Plus course, I can't just focus on them and their needs. I have to focus on these 6 modules and all these different topics within the module. So I've got to focus on observation, judgment, awareness, consideration for vulnerable road users, spatial awareness and clearance to others. All these things, when maybe my pupil is good at those and doesn't need me to spend time on those. In fact, what I prefer to do is just, that's supposed to go further. It's still there. What I like to do is throw that away, although it doesn't look like I can at the moment. Go on, go. I can't throw a bit of paper, it just keeps coming. It's like, here we go. Oh, now it's gone down the back of the seat. Anyway, I like to throw that away and just focus on my pupil. I like to think, where are your strengths? Where are your weaknesses? What are you confident with? What are you not confident with? What do you need help with? I want to look at them and try and help them without the restrictions of having to go through a set course and fulfill a specific criteria. However, having said that, there is a big advantage to Pass Plus, and that advantage is encouragement. Pass Plus encourages a population of people to be more likely to do extra training after they pass their driving test than if there wasn't a certificate. I'm not against Pass Plus. I think it's a good idea. I just don't really like doing the course. You've got to remember, The DVSA, the Driver and Vehicle Standards Agency, they're an executive agency of the government, and they love figures. They pretty much live by figures. They look at numbers, and they'll look at like a certain age group and say, oh, this is how many casualties, killed or seriously injured there is in that age group. How can we reduce that? Well, if we introduce a course to encourage people to do more training, if more people do the training, then maybe that's going to affect the figures. It's not that doing the course is better than just doing extra training with your instructor, but it's just you're more likely to do the course if there's a bit of paper at the end. So you can be like, oh look, did my Pass Plus today, didn't I? Got a certificate and everything. Did you get one? No. Well, not everyone's perfect. I'll just put that in front of my gear stick there just to let everyone know I'm a Pass Plus driver. Not an ordinary driver, I'm Plus. A bit like an A star, that, isn't it? I recently had an inquiry from a customer wanting a Pass Plus course for his son. So I messaged him back and I said, I could probably help your son more if I wasn't restricted to the Pass Plus course, but I could just focus on your son and deliver a lesson that is specific to his needs. I explained a bit about the Pass Plus course and why that may restrict me. He wanted to go along with it, so we booked some lessons, and the fact I wasn't following the course meant I could help his son more and more quickly, because the things he needed help with weren't necessarily in the Pass Plus course. He needed help with forward planning. He started driving in the urban roads, and straight away I was like, he was making me feel nervous because he was getting to situations unprepared. He was at a roundabout, going across the give way line, trying to figure out his gear to get going again. He wasn't preparing, he wasn't forward planning. Now, in the Pass Plus course, it doesn't say anything about forward planning. Observation, judgment and awareness, it's close, but it's not the same. I needed to help him think forwards and get the car ready before he got to the hazard, or get to the hazard when the hazard is no longer there. So we focused on that. That improved his driving dramatically. That made me feel more comfortable sitting in the passenger seat. That made him a better driver. I was able to focus on him and not worry about completing the course within however many hours. I'll get on to how many hours later. I know it can be more than 6, but there is a problem with that. Other things he needed help with was 70-mile-an-hour roads, joining and leaving. He wasn't too bothered about motorways. Yes, there are differences in rules, but the driving skill of being used to driving at 70 miles an hour and joining a fast road at 70 miles an hour was the main thing he wanted help with. And driving in places he didn't know. So we went to 2 cities, or a city on one side, town on the other side, either side of Colchester where we live, to try and help him in areas he didn't know. I helped him figure out what lane he needs when he doesn't know what lane he needs. Not by telling him, but by giving him clues, giving him advice that I use myself to figure out what lane I need, and when he did get the wrong lane, how to deal with it. So therefore, when he goes places he doesn't know, he's going to be less worried about, oh, where do I go, what lane do I use, because he's more confident. He knows he's able to deal with it if he goes the wrong way or gets the wrong lane. Also, parking. And the funny thing about this is parking was exceptional. He was really worried about parking, but he had a lot of skill. The trouble was, he wasn't looking where he was going. He just kept looking around. He kept looking at the side and the back windows like this, and that doesn't show him where the lines are in the parking space. It's quite hard to see what you're doing looking there. That's good for hazards. That's good to see, oh, there's a person walking over there. He needed to combine that with using his mirrors to see the lines in the car park so that he'd line up his car in between the lines. Looking round is important for hazards, but you need to do both accuracy and hazard awareness. Once he started doing that, his parking was good. It didn't take me too long to make him a much better driver and for me to feel much more confident sitting next to him. If I was restricted to the Pass Plus course, he would have a certificate, but I don't think I would have been able to improve his driving skills as much. The reason why I said I would not have been able to help him as much if I was doing the Pass Plus course is because I would have had to spend the time looking at other things that maybe he didn't need help with. Of course, I still could have helped him just as much if I was doing the Pass Plus course or not. It just would have taken longer because I would have had more obligations to fulfill. And this leads me on to a problem with the Pass Plus course and why this certificate doesn't actually bear much weight, I think, and why often people don't save much money on their insurance when they have one of these certificates. And that's because it's a competitive marketplace. So I'm offering Pass Plus and I'm pricing it per hour, and I'm saying to my pupil it's going to take you however many hours it takes, I don't know how long, however many hours it takes for you to complete all these competencies. Someone down the road, some driving instructor down the road is offering it as a course at a set price. It's going to be 6 hours, it's going to cost this much, and you will definitely get a certificate at the end of it. Who is the customer likely to go with? Now, although the course should be a minimum of 6 hours, generally people take 6 hours because that is how it is sold. And if you've got an instructor offering it at a set price and someone's saying, I don't know how much it will cost, it'll cost as much as you take, however long it takes, I probably wouldn't have paid for it if that was the case when I did it. Oh, an update actually, I forgot. When I passed my driving test, I wasn't on £10,500 a year. That was when I did my Pass Plus course. When I passed my driving test, I was actually an apprentice earning £100 a week, even less, which is even more reason why I couldn't really afford that course at the time. And that brings me back to this subject I'm talking about, and that's cost. If someone's offering it at a set price, they're more likely to pay that. I don't think I would have paid it if the instructor would have said to me, I don't know how much it's going to cost you, it's this much per hour and it takes as long as it takes. As a result, generally, as I say, people don't spend longer than 6 hours doing the course and they get this certificate, regardless of whether they really, truly complete all these boxes. And that neatly leads me on to insurance. Does having Pass Plus save you money on your insurance? Well, from memory, it didn't save me money, and in my experience, it doesn't seem to reduce insurance premiums. Yes, some insurers recognise it and give you a discount, but they're quite often more expensive to begin with, and even with the discount, they're still more expensive than some insurers who don't recognise it. Why don't you do a dummy quote yourself and let me know in the comments, does Pass Plus save you money on your insurance? Also, insurers are smart. They're going to know that to get this certificate, you don't have to pass a test. You just have to turn up, and it's the word of the instructor. Also, they use facts and figures, statistics. They're going to know if having a Pass Plus certificate actually reduces your chances of having a collision. If it did, I'm sure there would be a noticeable discount. Another problem with Pass Plus is you can't always cover all the modules and you have to do it via theory instead. And that I don't think is necessarily that helpful. If you're going to spend money with a driving instructor and time with your driving instructor, you're probably going to want to be in the car moving as much as you can, particularly if you've already passed your driving test. If you're talking and doing theory, well, these are things you can probably find out for yourself in your own time for free by reading the highway code, by reading the DVSA's Driving the Essential Skills, or watching YouTube videos, reading articles online. So what we've got here is all-weather driving. If you pass your driving test in the middle of summer, it's not likely you're going to be getting very difficult weather conditions to deal with. And you've got night driving as well. So I have to cover these topics, which means if it's the summer, I have to spend time talking to my pupil about these instead of driving. Also, you can be quite far away from a motorway. It's difficult for me because a motorway is an hour away. So if I want to do proper motorway tuition with my pupil, not just dual carriageway, we have to drive an hour and an hour back to do it. So that's 2 hours of driving without any motorway use. So it needs to be a minimum of 3 hours, which is why I recommend doing Pass Plus in a day. If it's going to be 6 hours, do the 6 hours in one go. What I would like to do is do 2 hours, go McDonald's or somewhere, have a drink, use the toilet, have a break, go another 2 hours, then maybe stop somewhere and have lunch, have a break again, use the loo, and then do another 2 hours. That's 6 hours broken up. Shouldn't make too much difference to the driving instructor because their day is going to be a bit broken up anyway. So having to stop to use the loo, they probably will want to as well. But it means you can go further and go to different places and get some real experience. Although driving on the motorway isn't absolutely essential to know how to do it, you can learn a lot of what you need to on dual carriageways and reading the highway code and knowing the rules, the different rules about motorways. I think it's a very good idea that if you can get on a motorway, you should. And if you've got a 6 hour session there, you can go quite far. So even if you're in a part of the country that's quite far from a motorway, you're likely going to be able to reach one. However, you don't have to go on a motorway to get this certificate. You can complete module 6, is it? Module 6 of the motorway? Yep, you complete module 6. You can do that just via theory, just by talking about it. Which again is why I think this certificate doesn't really bear that much weight. It sounds like I'm being quite negative towards Pass Plus. That wasn't my intention. One of my video ideas was, is Pass Plus worth it? That came up on the list. I thought, okay, let's have a look then. So I sat down, wrote down the positives, wrote down the negatives, and started to feel quite negative. And in making this video, I feel quite negative towards Pass Plus. That's not what I set out to do. I don't want to discourage you from doing it. If you want to do it, definitely do it. I'm just saying that if you want to do extra training and want to get better at driving after you've passed your driving test, and you don't need the certificate to compel you to do it, you're probably going to get better value for money if you just go to your instructor and say, I want extra help. I want extra help with this, that, or whatever, and target the help for your needs. However, it's not quite that simple. Things rarely are. Depending on where you live, you may be entitled to a discount. This finger unlock thing doesn't always work. There we go. If you live in Cumbria, Hampshire, Wiltshire, Argyll and Bute, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, Fife, Inverclyde, South Lanarkshire, and all of Wales, you get a discount on your Pass Plus course. In fact, in Wales, it costs you just £20 because the Welsh Government or the council, I'm not sure how it's funded, they pay for the course for you. You just pay the £20. That's amazing value for money. You pay your taxes, you pay your council tax if your parents pay your council tax, if you're not old enough to pay council tax yet. That's money coming back to you that you've been paying. Take them up on that offer. £20 for a Pass Plus course, that would have helped me. When I passed my driving test, if I could do Pass Plus for £20, I definitely would have done, and it would have helped me a lot more doing it just after my driving test instead of waiting nearly a year when I was earning a little bit more money and could actually afford it. As this is a video about Pass Plus, I should probably tell you what's included. There are 6 modules. They include all-weather driving, night driving, town driving, rural roads, dual carriageways and motorways. And you don't have to complete all those modules practically. You can do some in theory if it's not possible to do it in a practical way. For example, if it's not raining, you don't get to choose when it rains. And you can complete part of modules in theory as well. For example, the motorway module includes breakdowns and safety procedure. You're probably not going to practice that because you're probably not going to break down. And you can't pretend to break down when you're on a motorway. You can't be like, right, we're broken down, let's pretend into the hard shoulder. Hard shoulders are for emergencies. Or, oh, we're on a smart motorway, engine off, oh, we've lost power, no hard shoulder, what do we do? No, that's not going to happen. Therefore, that last competency there in motorways is most likely going to be theory. Also, you get, I don't know if you can see this on camera, see if I can get that to focus on that instead of me. You get E's and A's. So like E's mean you exceeded and A's mean you've achieved. Exceeded is better. You can only get an E if you've done it practically. So you can only exceed if you've shown physically that you can do it well. If it's in theory, it's only going to be an A. I used to think that each module had a minimum of 30 minutes required to complete it. That's definitely up here. Don't know how it got there. Maybe things have changed. But before I made this video, I thought I'd just refresh my knowledge about Pass Plus to make sure what I'm saying is accurate. I'm glad I did, because there is no minimum amount of time. Maybe there was in the past, because that got in my head somehow. There's no maximum amount of time you can spend on a module as well. You can take as long as you like, but as I said, the whole thing's probably going to take 6 hours. Not many people are willing to carry on spending however much it costs to get the certificate. But because Pass Plus is generally seen as higher speed driving for faster roads, most of your time is going to be on rural roads, dual carriageways and motorways. Well, it's raining a lot today. Today we actually have a yellow weather warning for rain and wind, so it might not be a bad idea to do a Pass Plus course today. However, you don't really get to do it on a whim. You have to obviously book it with your instructor. Instructors don't sit at home waiting around for you to call them and go, "Oh, you ready?" So you don't really get to choose the weather. If you found the video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're looking for car insurance, check out the links to Collingwood and Confused in the description. If you're learning to drive and want to insure yourself on somebody else's car, then Collingwood are there for you, because you can do so without affecting the owner's policy, and that takes away a big stress from the owner of that car that you're using to practice your driving in. Via the link at the moment, there's up to 35% off and a £20 Amazon gift card. If you want to insure your own car, I recommend checking out the link to confused.com, because you fill out one quote form and you get loads of quotes back from many insurers, and you can change your car on that quote as many times as you like without having to do the whole quote again. So it's a quick and easy way to compare how much it costs to insure different cars if you're shopping around for different cars. Using the links doesn't cost you anything, but it does support the channel, so thank you very much. Subscribe to get my future videos, and until the next one, cheerio.